Hello, Mauricio.
Hi, Stacey. Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for
Thank you for
joining.
having me.
Yeah. Cool. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. You and I don't really know each other, and I would love to know where you're from and what brought you into the film industry.
Yes, I'm originally from Colombia. I'm currently in Montreal, where I've been living for it's going to be 15 years. So it's been a while since I've been here. Most of that time, I've been working either on VFX or post production related jobs. So my entry point was I studied as a visual artist in Colombia originally, and I have always been interested with art, with drawing, and during my teenage years with movies and cinema. So there was this program where they kind of combined a more artistic approach, and you could go into like different paths. So you could either go on a more like plastic arts sort of thing, graphic and audiovisual or movies, which is what I ended up studying. So I did my bachelor's degree on that, and during that time I had never had like close experience with movie making, but I enjoyed them a lot. And what I ended up realizing is that the process I enjoyed the most what came after the shooting. So I found shootings a little bit stressful and a lot of like chaos going around. But then in stuff like editing, where you have more control, where you can get more hands on, and where you can actually build what you've been working on, I found that aspect much more gratifying and interesting. So early on, I discovered that like the post production process was what interested me. So when I got here to Montreal, I was lucky enough to find a work working as a post production assistant. It was called on a very like small, I would call it boutique, but it was not even that because it's a non-profit studio where they help more like emerging artists and independent documentary filmmakings. So we were like two people on the video team. It was me and my boss. So I got to like work on a lot of different aspects, and I got to like work directly with the directors, with the producers, helping them in any like technical questions that I had. And since it was only the two of us, if there was any opportunity to do, online editing or color grading, I was up for it, and they were open like enough to teach me how it went. I really got to be very hands on, and at the same time learn more of the technical aspects that I didn't really know while working or while being at school, where everything was more like do stuff and be creative and develop your projects, but then everything that had to do with codecs or with like compression algorithms or with more technical stuff, it was not something that I really knew about. So this job allowed me to have like a good foundation in that, and through that I ended up learning that a lot of like the clients sometimes they needed like do cleanups or do things that I ended up learning were called compositing or paint or roto. So I took it upon myself to like start learning After Effects and starting to see how could I help and start growing my career through there. And then at that time in Montreal, the industry started growing a lot. A lot of studios were coming, so there were a lot of opportunities, and I I realized that if I wanted to really get serious about it, I had to learn Nuke. So I took a Nuke course. I learned about Nuke on this like very intensive program. And at that time, MPC was starting an academy program. So I was I was on that first group of artists that went into the MPC Academy for compositing, which was like you sign a 1-year contract. At the first 10 weeks, we're only training on compositing. So it was like a very good like entry point. And at that time the demand was so big that they were willing to do that. They were willing to pay you to be trained and then to work on their movies. And it was a complete switch for me, because I went, from working just like directly with all the people that work to working in this more like corporate sort of environment where you have like a big team of people working, and you have more like concentrated skills. But I really liked it. I really liked like the challenge that compositing bring, because it's like a good mix of working your creative muscles, and the fact that I already knew and liked like color grading, color theory, but mixed like with technical aspects, because you had to be very precise. Like once you start like going into tech checking and like really like pixel minute like things that 95% or 99% of the audience won't even notice. And that's something that most people don't realize, like how much does it take to really like get something to look like proper and good from many different point of views, but the technical one in particular, like the grain and the edges and
And the
it's
black levels.
and the
That's
black
the
levels.
that's
Exactly.
the one that gets us every time, we're like, "Okay, this shot's done." And then we're like, "Okay, do we wanna check the black levels?"
Yeah.
Because then if you look for something, you're gonna find something, But and everything is just so fast, and you're trying to be a crafts person. Because I mean, that's something I wanna talk about a little bit also, is just especially compositors, not just especially compositors, all visual effects artists are craftspeople. And they do work with their hands, and they just happen to be using a tool called a computer, and
Mhm.
software, but we're using our hands, our minds, our hearts to craft the film in the best way possible. There seems to be a misconception about that lately that this podcast is trying to put to rest. But can you talk a bit about that, about your artistry, and about how you feel when you have finished a shot and it looks beautiful? And like you say, hopefully the audience doesn't notice how much work went into it to make it look like that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. I remember a colleague once describing compositing as somebody giving you a puzzle that you don't know the solution to. So compositing is very much about that, because you get like different pieces from different departments or from different sources. So you got your plate, you got an element from effects, you got your own elements, element banks that are there, and then they give you a goal. So they tell you, okay, this is what the client wants. So but they don't tell you exactly what they want. They just describe it to you. So at first, it's like very nebulous on what you want. Sometimes you have hero shots that you can like rely on and say, okay,
Like
this
tent
guy.
poles. Yeah, like you
Yes,
start with
exactly.
a tent pole and like, is this the thing that you are
Yeah,
dreaming in your mind?
exactly. So there's a lot of iteration. There's a lot of going back and forth. And sometimes the client or the supervisor thinks they want something and you do it. And sometimes even you yourself know that what they are looking for is probably not going to work, but you still do it because you want to contribute. And as you say, you many times have to be a craftsperson. You have to like um, use your skills and your knowledge to help them achieve this. So maybe they thought the fire that you're adding on a alleyways has to look a certain way, and maybe it doesn't. So you have to work a lot around those type of expectations. And I would say that what experience gives you is learning how to like read people, because there are some supervisors that want to see a lot of like small chunks of progress, and there are others that let you go like on different paths. And this also depends on the client. There are a lot of clients that are more open to like you suggesting stuff, which I guess becomes more gratifying because it is more gratifying when you know, when you're looking at a movie and you say to yourself, okay, nobody else could probably reach this result that everybody is looking at. So you do feel that like you're enacting and you're contributing on different ways and on creative ways to build like a whole project and a whole movie. And there's a lot of people working on it, and not only like on the VFX side, but before that there were all the technicians that were there, all the gaffers, the camera crew, et cetera, et cetera. Those that work in also in practical effects, in makeup, they are all working towards like creating a good product and delivering their best. So when you get that feeling of you contributing or working on a sort of effect that you ended up solving in a creative way, that's like a very gratifying experience.
Yeah, 100%. I work on set also. Because I'm a producer, I'm usually there at the beginning and, of course, all the way through to the end. So, I see all of the on-set crew and work closely with them, and of course with all the post teams as well. So I see all of the craftspeople all the way through, and it's really gratifying to see something, you know, that we talked about in a room, like in a boardroom somewhere 2 years ago, and then see that all the way through to the end. And and it's the reason why, I think, I mean, let me know what you think about this, but it's the reason why we do this, because it's so amazing, especially when you're a part of something really cool. It's at the end to see it all come together is just it's magical, actually, because it's hundreds of people, many hundreds of people all working together to create something that really started in a person or a group of people's minds. So, um, you know, but would you say there's a difference between, I'm just going to put you on the spot here for a minute. Would you say there's a difference between, say someone painting a set and their craft? Do you think that that craft is more valuable than, say, a compositor who is creating sometimes, like you say, a complete picture out of a group of puzzle pieces and putting it all together and making the shot final? Would you say there's a difference between someone who is physically painting a set? I mean, obviously there are differences, but do you think that that person is any more of a craftsperson than, say, a compositor who is putting the whole shot together?
No, I mean, of course not. Um,
Of course not,
like
right? I mean,
for
of course
me,
not.
it's yeah, as you just said, like yeah, we all work with our hands, and there's a very interesting documentary called Side by Side that talks a lot about like the transition of cinema into digital. So what's interesting about the documentary is that it guides you through like every different department, from
Okay.
editing, the cameras, visual effects, because visual effects have existed in movies since they began. Like Charlie Chaplin used, in-camera effects to create some of it. And as you just said, like matte painting is something that's existed in cinema, that was made like by people painting them, like James Cameron. That was like his entry point, for
Hmm.
instance, like painting actual like sets and stuff. For I think he worked with John Carpenter, and he uses digital a lot. So I would say that a person that used to work painting with their hands, yes, I mean there is some skill involved, but you need to have the same sensitivities to do it on a canvas and to do it either on Photoshop or in Nuke. It's just like an evolution of technology, and with compositing in particular, there were compositors before, but they had to work with like film prints and the way they keyed and they extracted their mats was just the same technique, but all the changes is like the tools that you're using. And today we can like achieve a lot more things and fulfill these visions because we have access to all of these digital tools that allow us to make people believe that something exists when it really doesn't. And I also think there's a lot of like I think a lot of people don't realize how much VFX there are on their day to day, like movies, even like what you would say small movies, like almost 90% of the time that you see a scene that's taking place inside a car, it's probably made doing compositing, and most people don't notice, you know?
Yeah, I mean they do process trailer stuff and but that's I mean honestly well, I won't go into details, but this project that I heard about they were adamant no VFX in the car, no VFX in the car. So they went and did the process trailer and also tried to do stunts and this and that. And it's like, wait a minute, why are we not leaning into the technology that we already know that we can use, which is a climate controlled blue screen
Yeah.
stage? And do this properly and not to mention safely. So the safety factor is another huge one. There's so many things that visual effects can make possible that, were either, yes, maybe they were possible before, but super dangerous. And as we know, several stunt people have lost their lives or limbs doing lots of stuff that could easily have been, mitigated or, avoided altogether if we had just leaned into some more of the digital tools. So I find that really interesting. Um, but okay, well, let's forget about work for a minute. Are there any stories, say, from Colombia? First of all, where in Colombia, just generally, if you don't want to talk about your, specific neighborhood? Any interesting, inspirational stories that you want to share, just to bring the human side back to what we're doing here?
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked drawing, as I said, and my parents are like big moviegoers. Even today, they go to like I don't know three, 3 or 4 movies a week, which I
Oh my
find
God!
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and it's because there it's obviously less expensive, which is like one of the things. Like going over here in Canada or the US, going to a movie, it's it's not as affordable as it used to be, but that's a different discussion. But when I was a kid, they took me to a lot of movies, and that helped me, like and I have memories of like going to Jurassic Park and seeing like these big lines that were formed for people wanting to get in. There were even on the screening that I was, there was even people sitting on the floor because of the amount of like passion that this brought upon. Going a little bit outside of just like the big productions and everything, because I like watching every type of movie from Marvel to like a small documentary from Europe. So I have like this wide range, but I still enjoy the fact that I am contributing to its like advancement and contributing to projects. And so that's what I would say that has like nurtured my interest. And I know a lot of people. I've talked to some like colleagues that say that working on it has made them like lose a little bit of the magic of going to a movie and everything. But that has not happened to me really. Like I do have my like compositor eye sometimes. I'm like the dosages or could have been better or this. But if the movie is good, that's not going to matter either way.
And so your parents are still in Colombia.
They live over there with one of my siblings. I do have a family here with 2 children, which many times with the demands of the industry and depending on the studio is not something that's very easy to balance. So that's one of the um, that's one of the things that you have to like be willing to, or at least you have to be aware of
Yeah.
before. And it has changed. Well, it has changed at least on the studios that I've been involved in. I know there's still a lot of like big studios that do um, demand those sort of like hours and like working on the weekends. You're rarely able to log out after like, 6 or whatever. Uh, but I do see there has been a push of like telling artists it's okay to have a life outside of your job.
Yeah, not only is it okay, but it's absolutely necessary. I mean, I have 3 kids myself, so I mean, you can't you can't. It's not the 80s. You can't dedicate your entire life just to work because you're nurturing the next generation. You're you know,
Yes,
you're raising people. So and they deserve to have parents. So you're in Montreal. So do you speak French or
I do. Yes.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
trilingual then.
Yes.
Where did you learn French?
I learned French back in Colombia. I've always been like interested. Maybe it was also movies that drove me to French cinema. Maybe, but I've always been like a Francophile. So I learned French while I was in college because I had the opportunity, and I also lived in France for a few months before coming here. Uh, because I have another profession, which is I went to culinary school
Oh wow.
as well. Yeah,
In
so
France.
for those few months it was in France, but most
Wow.
of it I did it in Colombia. So yeah, I had the opportunity to go to the Paul Bocuse school in Lyon.
Wow.
Yeah, so which shares a lot of like everything that we were talking about, like working long hours, and it's even worse in because first the wages are not what compared to the amount of work. You have no choice but to work like on nights or weekends because that's when everything is
Yeah.
busier.
Yeah, that's when people go to the restaurants. So
Exactly.
what is your favorite dish to make? What's your specialty?
Mm. I don't know if I have a specialty. I like Colombian food, like doing we do a lot of like broths and soups, and which are good to eat now during the winter because they're very hearty, and not so much during the summer. That's what I like making the most, probably like stews and broths and like
Hmm.
food that takes a long time to like tenderize and to even smoking, like
Hmm.
where you just like set it and forget it, but time works its magic, and then after, I don't know, 12 hours you have a delicious piece of
Oh wow.
of meat or chicken. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't eat any animals, but I do appreciate Colombian food. And I actually did go to Colombia backpacking and stuff. I love stuff like arepas and, if you can get an empanada without any animal products in it, which is rare, I know, but here in Canada, it's a little bit easier. Colombia in general, I have a soft spot for Colombia. Just, it's so beautiful and it's so wild. I mean, it's so, depending on where you are, whether you're in the jungle or the coast or, whatever you're doing, it's just so different. One day I'll go back maybe with the kids. We took them to Peru because my husband's from Peru, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, but that was enough for my nervous system for now. I think traveling around Peru for weeks with 3 little kids was I think it took a couple years off my life and stress. So yeah, just my whole family was sick recently, so I'm just getting over that also. Um well, look, I mean, what do you think about the future? I mean, you have kids and I'm sure there are younger people working underneath you. Or even alongside you. What are your thoughts for young people today what are your hopes and thoughts and dreams for them?
I would say in this industry, it's very hard to predict and know what is going to happen. Like today, there's even a lot more factors that come into play, but it is an industry that depends on so many things that unfortunately is if people are looking for absolute stability, um, it is something that they're not likely to find. Um, but sometimes, artists thrive in those environments too. Um, but like just going through like the last few years of things that have affected us directly, there's like COVID first, which didn't only affected us, it affected absolutely everybody, but it affected us both in negative but also in positive ways. um, Starting with the fact that when I started out, it was inconceivable to think that you were going to be able to work from home
Yeah, it was a
because
non-starter. Yeah,
no, never. Like it
yeah.
was, it was just not something that happened. So one of the positive things that COVID brought for us in the like in the industry was that studios were open to let us. And right now, like most people work hybrid or even fully remote, which before it used to not happen. But then after that came the strikes, and that's something that you have no control over. Like the work just dried out completely for months. I still don't know what's going to happen with that. But there's AI coming on as well. Like we are in a sort of advantageous position because we already know how to process images through the computer, but there are other factors that I don't yet know how they are going to come into play and how studios are going to want to play with that. And the other thing that affected us in particular, but it has affected everyone, is all the tax credit factor, which
In Montreal, that's dried up a bit, hasn't it?
yes, exactly. But as I say, like that happened to LA before, and no, like nobody is really completely shielded from a government coming in and deciding that this is probably not what we're going to do right now, and that can like make a lot of jobs and things that you took for granted just disappear and go somewhere else, like
Mhm.
very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to know what to say, isn't it?
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
to young people. Yeah, yeah, it's really tough. I mean, not even just to young people, but to people
But
in
what
general.
I would say to them is that it has always been like this. So don't let
It's always
others
been bad.
discourage you. But I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's, as I said, it's unstable.
It's unstable.
It's
Yeah.
unstable. So that's one of the thing. That's something that I'm not doing. Like I'm not saying this to discourage anybody, but they should know what they're getting into.
Mhm.
Because I assume there's a lot of people that go into, oh, this is like a good mix into like me. Um, still being an artist and being creative, but within a more confined, like 9 to 5 sort of work where there's a lot of stability and stuff. But, there's a lot of things that you have to be aware of before coming in. And I think one thing I would say is that don't pour every creative thing just into the work that you're doing, but keep doing it for you, for yourself, because ultimately, like, think about when you were a kid and you were just drawing, like, you weren't doing it to get money or anything. You were doing it because you liked it. Some of us are lucky enough to get paid
Yeah.
for doing that, but don't let that creativity only go into that, but also use it to develop like personal
Personal
stuff. And
projects. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Do you have any personal projects on the go?
I was learning Python, and then I started developing a project that's like trying to guess metro stations,
Trying to
a la
what?
Wordle, like trying to guess what metro station you're on
Oh,
with
okay.
different clues. So that's something I'm working on
That's
now.
neat.
Yeah.
That's like a fun, like, is it a video game or like
Yeah,
what?
it's sort of like a Wordle,
Okay, okay, that's
but
fun.
instead of like,
I had to take Wordle off my phone. This was like about a year and a half or so ago. There's a lot of waiting, especially when you're a parent or, you're waiting for, the doctor, you're waiting for
yeah.
stuff, the dentist. When you're single, you wait for the dentist like once every 6 months. And then when you have three children, you're waiting for the dentist four
Yes.
times every 4 months. So I felt like there was a lot of waiting, and I thought, "Oh, I'm gonna try the Wordle thing," because you can't really read a book when you have kids because they're running around, and so you need, like, something short. So, anyway, long story short, I put Wordle on my phone, and I thought, "Well, at least it's, like, brain developing," you know? So and I had to take it off because it was distracting me. Like, I found I was opening it when I wasn't waiting. I was just, like, opening it and just, like, obsessing over it.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, okay, I'm exhibiting, addictive behavior with Wordle. So I took it off my phone. It was fun. I enjoyed it. But again, I just can't, allow myself to go
Fall into
down the
that.
rabbit
Yeah.
hole, just stay out of the rabbit hole. So anyway, I digress. But, well, look, I mean, I know you're busy and it's probably a work day for you. I myself am between projects because I needed a bit of a rest. So I decided, oh, I'm instead of resting, I'm going to do a podcast. I don't know. I should probably I should probably rest instead. But thank you so much for joining. Anything you'd like to say to either filmmakers or maybe people who aren't in the film industry? Something that you would like them to know about compositing or visual effects in general?
I would encourage people to keep watching movies. That's the first thing, because there's a lot of like, um, things like you said, like take away your time and your distraction. But I think that spending the time watching different type of movies is like a good hobby to have, and something that you start finding gratifying in many different ways. Um, so that's one thing I would say, and just like realize that all of the people that come at the end, at the credits, is people that spent months, years, working on what you just enjoyed. So have some acknowledgement at least, and know that the fact that things are done digitally shouldn't like take away from it, because there's a lot of different challenges, and it's never just like one button that you push and things disappear and the shot is created. But there's a lot of work, a lot of iteration, a lot of creativity, a lot of sweat that goes into crafting that, you know.
Yeah. And I like to remind people when you see all those names, I mean, we are all filmmakers. We're all making the film, ergo we are filmmakers. That is what we do. That is who we are. So, yeah, there's been some strange narratives lately. I'm glad that you're here and putting a face to one of those names that's in that long scroll. And yeah, I hope everyone understands that we are all here to make the best product possible and the best film. And film is an art. It's a beautiful art. And we all enjoy it. And I personally am so thankful to be part of this industry. And I I think you are too, because
Yes.
from what you've said.
Absolutely. uh, Just the last thing is that I think that what you mentioned about safety and how we many times prevent that. Just to finish on this, actually, William Friedkin, I heard to an interview he did before he passed away, and he said that if he were going to make the French Connection today, he would have probably gone digital, just because he knew how much people he was putting at risk while
Yeah.
doing it. So, yes. It's undeniable that that sequence, it's fantastic, and it was like an achievement, but also a lot could have been lost. And I don't think, like, for how beautiful movies are, I don't think nobody should sacrifice their life for doing it,
No.
so
Yeah, I've seen
I
some.
hope that the technology also helps like minimize those type of risks.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Nobody's life is worth as much as we love cinema. Nobody's
Right.
life or health or limbs or anything else is worth it to lose. So, all right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for the work that you do, and I really appreciate you being here. And yeah, we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you. Thanks so
Have a
much.
great day.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.